to check out how to listen to the 2020 Carolina Beach Music Awards. Make sure you join us right here on BeachBoogieandBlues.com for the 2020 Free Cammy Show.
You ever had those days that where things just don't go as you planned for it to go? Well, this was one of the cases. This is a RCA Victor. It's the 6D-202. It's AM 6-tube radio. And I picked these up a while ago. This and two more radios. And I was going to do a full-on troubleshooting tutorial on this radio. And the particular day that I had started doing this, instead of using the Canon camera, which I already had it set up on the other bench doing some recording, I just grabbed one of my little smaller cameras, and I happened to grab the little Samsung, and I spent a couple hours doing a troubleshooting tutorial video on this, and went back to look at the video, and there was only bits and pieces of the whole show. And what I found was the SD card, which goes inside this adapter. The SD card is fine, however the adapter is making intermittent connections, so it will record a bit and quit, then record a bit and quit. So I only got bits and pieces of that whole video, and that was a bit discouraging. But you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. I should have reached over and grabbed the Sony camera. This is the one I used to use all the time to shoot videos with until I got the Canon, and the Samsung was always a backup or set up to do picture-in-picture or whatever. But that's how it goes. So probably what I'll do is just talk about this one a little bit. I still haven't made my mind up on what I'm going to do with the bits and pieces of the video. Maybe I'll put something together and see if I can take some of those clips and, you know, do some voiceovers on it, explaining what was going on, what we was doing. But you know, this was going to be what I thought was a great candidate for a tutorial. The radio has been completely recapped, and as you saw in the opening, it is working. However, the gain is down, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But the first thing that I started doing on the tutorial was when you turn the power switch on and ohm out across the line cord, it was 0. So the first problem we found was the power switch was bad. Then after going in and repairing the power switch and ohming out again, it was still 0. So you know, these filaments are in series with the power line, and come to find out that the 12SG7 was opened, and here's the dead tube, 12SG7, and you see it's a metal tube, but the filament's open in this tube. Well, at the time of doing this tutorial, I didn't have a 12SG7 on hand. So, what's the substitute for a 12SG7? Well, there really is no one. But however, you can use a 12SK7. Now there's a difference, lower gain, much lower gain, and suppressor grid and cathode are tied together on pin 3 in the 12SG7. In the 12SK7 it is not. So it was just a simple jumping a pin to get the stage to work correctly. And we went on through that and did that in the video, and then when we got everything, it would light up and work. There still was no signal. And I thought that would be a great time to go through this thing using the Heathkit IT-12 signal tracer that we just restored the other week, to use it to troubleshoot this particular radio. And we found that on the detector tube down here between pin 3 and pin 5, there was a jumper. I don't know if it had, I didn't see no marks on it where it shorted, but it was either had been clipped or just the little small wire that they had across it was it was broken. It was not making connection. And when we replaced that, then the radio came up and worked. Then it was the standard going through it and tuning the IF and picking the RF and stuff up, so again, it would have been a great video if everything had come out right, but it didn't. And I can't undo what's already been done, and start over, because a little bit of work on here, especially replacing all these old wax caps. You can see there's the whole bag of wax caps that come out of it, and the electrolytic cap that was in it. So I still got the cabinet to restore. It's got some loose wood on it. The dial glass looks very nice. There's no problem with that. But the top board here on the case is loose. That's got to be all took apart and cleaned and re-glued, and then refinished the case. The case is in pretty good shape. It's just there's no hunks missing out of it, but it's got it's got some scratches and stuff where the varnish has been knocked off of it. But the case is in excellent shape. And you can see here this top is loose. I say it just needs to be slid out, cleaned, re-glued, and clamped together. Insides in pretty nice shape. There's one of the blocks that go up on the side had come unglued and just laying in the radio. Probably the worst part about the case is the original backboard that's on here, and you can see it's just all to pieces on the bottom of it and in several places. I thought about gluing it and putting it in a heat press and trying to straighten it back out, see if I can make it put some life back into it. Still has the original golden throat tone label on it. So if nothing else, we can make a new one and get this label off. It's just a little bit of damage up here on the top of it, but we'll see when the time comes to it. So if y'all want to see, maybe I'll do a restoration video on the cabinet and a final run through on the radio here when I get the new 12SG7 tube in. Should be here next week. So maybe I'll just take those clips and put it together and go through that do the cabinet restoration, all in one video. Let me know what y'all think about that. Just leave me a comment down below. Yeah, but anyway, you know, for a 1940s radio, it wasn't in too bad a shape. The dial cord was rotten on it, and the tuning condenser was so dirty. I actually had to remove it and put in ultrasonic cleaner. Had also removed the first IF can, and went ahead, and you can see the difference in the two. This one here, the case went into the ultrasonic cleaner, and just the head. Now you don't have to worry about silver mica in this type of IF transformers, because there's no silver mica inside of them. But yeah, just let me know down below how much of the restoration you'd like to see, and I'll see if I can put a video together. This is the RCA Victor. Well, anyway, all was not lost. I have another one here. It is this is the Zenith, and it's the 6-D-219, and this radio was made somewhere around 1938 or so. And I mean, looking at it, it's, you know, it's not in too bad a looking shape. You know, the cabinet's gonna have to be completely refinished. It's all wood, you know, just like the RCA is, but this one has wooden knobs on it. And look, the dial cord is working. Yeah, but these are wooden knobs. Now this one has got a little bit of damage on it that we'll have to fix when we restore the case. And as you can see, the speaker does not look to be in that good a shape. And this is a field core speaker also. So we're going to have to deal with fixing up a speaker for it, probably right to start with. See, the back panel is on there. No labels on the back. And the back is coming off too. And the label that was originally on the bottom is long gone. So I figure we'll just go ahead and tear this down, have a look at it. Start by removing this one screw. Take the back plate off. See, right to start with, the power cord has been snipped off. That was like somebody didn't want someone to just plug it in. You see, we have a cable here, all cloth wire, that goes to the speaker, and a plug. So we need to turn it up on the side, and we can go ahead and remove these 4 screws. Go ahead and see if we can get the knobs off. They came off fairly easy. There we go. And we should be able to slide it right out of the case. Well, quick rundown of the tube. Got a 25L6 audio power tube. This is a ballast, and you see it's not like a regular tube. It's not in a glass case. It's in a shielded can, but this is the ballast tube, and we'll get into that a little later. 25Z6 rectifier. We have a 6Q7. This is the second detector, AVC first audio tube, IF tube, and over here we have a 6A8G. This is the first detector and oscillator tube. This is a big tall can capacitor. As you can see just how tall that thing is. It's about 5.5 inches. And when I went to take it out of the case, I actually had to tilt the radio a little bit to get this past the ledge on the case. 3 controls here: on, off, volume, tuning, and this control here is 4 position, but it controls the broadcast band and the shortwave, and I'm not sure what else it controls. We'll have to get into it and see. You can also see this big display. Standard broadcast, following broadcast, and see the gold needle with the big Z in the middle of it for Zenith. That's pretty nice. Let's get a look at the bottom of it and see just how bad it is. Well, looking at it, it doesn't look like there's been a whole lot of work in the bottom, but we can see that big tall can capacitor I was talking about. There's the 2 leads from it here that has been cut off. Got a, looks like a choke here. Lots of old waxies in there. Someone has put in an electrolytic here, but it's not connected to nothing on one end. There's a dual electrolytic here. And by looking at the solder connections, somebody's been doing something with this. Yeah, I can see both ends had been soldered on before. As a Cornell Dupler 0.5 megafarad cap has been replaced. That's not original. So we got a little work to do in the capacitor line, find out just what's going on. I suspect that the wires from this original tall can capacitor probably come over here, and these replaced it, or maybe this has replaced it also. I'm not sure how many sections was in this can. I'm only seeing 2 wires because this choke is in the way. I need to go ahead and remove this speaker so we can see what we're going to do about it, how bad it is. I do not have a field core speaker in house to replace it with, and this is an original Zenith speaker, so we're going to see if we can't repair it, and hopefully the field core and the transformer is going to be okay. But it looks like there's only 2 nuts that hold it in, so I'll go ahead and get that out and we'll remove that speaker. Okay, I got the speaker out of the way, and looking at the cabinet, the only thing that's really going to have to be done other than restoring the cabinet is this piece of wood here, this block of wood. It's going to have to be replaced because you can see it's broken out that held the back cover on, and a new grill cloth. I mean, even the piece of cardboard that's in here is in pretty good shape. Now normally around the top of this there is a big piece of asbestos sheeting, but the guy told me that he removed that when he got the radio and disposed of the asbestos. Alright, so now we can take a look at this speaker. It's 3000 ohm. It's the 49-189-X is all that's written on it, other than Zenith. And we can see the cone is completely gone. We see the original spider is still intact and looks good. In fact, just looking at it, the voice coil looks pretty good. Pull this paper back and I feel no rubbing of the voice coil, which is good. So all the windings in the transformer and the field coil is okay, and if the voice coil is okay, all we'll need to do is replace this cone. But what I like to do is check it and see if it's open. So I'll just remove one of the wires from the transformer, and we should be able to ohm that out. Should be somewhere between 3 and 5 ohms. Okay, so let's check it out and see. Go from one side of the voice coil to the other. And we're getting 4.6 ohms. So that shows our voice coil is good. Now if we go back from here to this winding, and we're getting about 2.1 ohms, and that tells us that our field coil and our transformer are not shorted and they're not open, so they check okay. So before we can even test the radio, we've got to have a speaker working for it. And I went ahead and removed all the old speaker and the gasket that was around it. And since we got a good working voice coil, and there's no rubbing, I figured what we would do is just, go ahead and make our own speaker cone out of a lightweight construction paper. And the speaker has to be able to move around, so you just can't make a cone and glue it in place and then glue it to the basket, because it's, it needs to move up and down a little bit. Before I have used this is a piece of foam, and 0.07 of an inch. So we could use that, or this is hobby felt, and it's very thin also, so you can use that to make the surround, and this will give that speaker cone the ability to move up and down. So your cone won't come all the way out to here, your cone will come into here, and then the surround will be on out to the cone. That way, it can move up and down like it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this and see what I can come up with. Okay, I've got the surround cut out. That'll fit right into the basket, and then our cone can attach to this. And like I say, I'm gonna just make it out of just some lightweight construction paper. I had made this out of just a piece of plain paper. The thing is, we don't have much tube from the voice coil. I got it shimmed up, so You know, when it fits on there, I'm gonna have to probably glue it from the back side. Because I don't want to risk, you know, any of the glue running down inside and getting into the center pole piece. Okay, so this will be the speaker cone. I've already got it marked on where it needs to line up at. And that's about how our cone is going to look. It's about 1 inch and 1/8 deep on this particular speaker. So I'll just have to get this glued together and let that dry, and then I can position it over the voice coil and get our dimension out on where it needs to come to and cut it off around it so it can mount to the surround. Okay guys, so this is where we're at so far. I got the speaker cone just tacked to the surround. It lays right in there. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a shallow tube that will just slide into the inside of the voice coil tube, about 1/16 of an inch, and glue it all together. And the way this is, like I said, this voice coil is already so short, it's hard to glue the cone onto it, you know, and be able to get in here on the back of the spider. I don't want to take the spider out and having to go back and realign the voice coil and everything. So I'm going to just make a tube that just will go inside of it and then glue it, and then the cone can slide down over top of it, and we'll have plenty of material to glue to. And once everything is put in and put in place, we'll go back and cover everything with contact cement. Okay, got the little cone in the center, and I've worked the cone over top of it. So now all I need to do is go in here and epoxy it around here, and then glue the surround down, and we should have a working speaker. Now I'll cut this down after it's all glued around and dried, and put a center cap on it, a dust cap, and I believe we'll have a speaker that should work. Okay guys, speaker's all together and glued in place, and I got the old gasket. I was able to save it and got it glued back on. So now we should have a speaker to test with. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to spritz this with a little water and put some heat on it, and that'll shrink the cone up just a little bit. Won't do it a whole lot, but that'll take out any wrinkles or anything that's in it, and it'll make it, you know, sit better in the basket. But you have to be very careful, because you don't want to pour the voice coil over. I'll just spritz it a little bit with some water and then put a heat lamp on it, and it'll help get any little wrinkles or anything out of it. So as we're looking at the bottom of the chassis, we can tell that, you know, this 8 microfarad is not an original capacitor. Also, this capacitor is not original. It is a dual gain capacitor. There's two capacitors in one with one ground, and we cannot read what is on it. A little trick to read what is on it is applying some heat to it and melting that wax a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that, and at least we'll be able to tell what it was. So this is 220 microfarads at 150 volts. And this one is an 8 microfarad at 450 volts. Now we know the original capacitors was in this tall can that was in the front of the radio. So looking here at the schematic, we can see C18, C17, and up here is C16. So C16 should be a 10 microfarad, C17 should be 16, and C18 should be 35 microfarads. I removed this tall can from the front. It's just 2 1/4-inch nuts holding it on, and as you can see, it's just an empty tube. But what was inside of it is this solar capacitor, and it's 220 microfarads at 150 volts. So even still, this is not the original capacitor that came in the set. I'm pretty sure that what was in here was similar to the original, but it was probably a 3-section capacitor, and this is a dual section capacitor. So even that one had been changed at one time. Now when we recap this, we could put the capacitors inside this tube and heat shrink them and mount them back out and run the wires from it. If I was to do that, I would love to do it with reproduction cloth wire, which I do not have, so we'll probably just mount the capacitors underneath of it. Now the grounds of the capacitors do not go to chassis. They are held above ground with a resistor, and that resistor value is 150 ohms. Alright, we'll go ahead and just clip out this old capacitor. And that's got them out of the way, so we can go back to our schematic and figure out which one was C17 and which one was C18. So C17, and you can see here's that choke that I removed to get that can off. C17 is a 16 microfarad. And C18 is the 35 microfarad. And the 35 microfarad, the positive is attached to the one pin of the rectifier tube, and C17 goes up and is attached to the speaker transformer. C16 is across a resistor, which is R11, which is a 210 ohm resistor. So we need to find that resistor so we can put that one back in place. Okay, I got this wiring cleaned up a little bit. I got to remove this red wire over here that's hanging there because we no longer need it. I've got the two main filter caps installed, and I've got the 10 microfarad just tacked in at the moment, because I got to get down here and, you know, we got to remove these wax caps, and I'll have to get all this solder removed from this terminal, then I'll put it in like it's supposed to be. I just want to get it for testing purposes now. Now, as you can see, the old power cord was attached here and here. Okay, I got a temporary power cord on here, and I've got the power turned on, and we're going to just bring it up on the variac and isolation transformer. I got about 35 volts to start with. Got to remember now, we still got all them old crusty wax capacitors in there. That's got to be replaced. And from my angle, I am seeing one of the pilot lights coming on. Very little current draw. No sound from the set yet. I'm hearing a little buzz in the speaker. No, I'm hearing a station playing. Looks like that volume control switch is very dirty. Well, unfortunately, it's completely sealed up. So we'll have to remove it and see if we can go in there and clean it. See what kind of difference that makes. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out without unwearing it. This bracket is riveted on, so I can't take it loose. Well, instead of trying to desolder all these old wires, I just went ahead and lifted all the tabs up. Okay, that's the switch part. And we can see how this is designed now. You can see this wafer here that turns. So we just need to spray this down and spin it around a few times and see if we can get it clean. Okay, switch it all back together. Turn the supply back on. Let it warm up a minute and see what we get. Which rotates a lot better now. You could feel it before it was scratchy.
Yes. I think it's cool racing others. You're pretty cool yourself, Sam. It's the season of
Well,
Ferguson Enterprises. Nominate yourself
Doesn't
for
have a lot of
Summer Jam
volume.
December 2nd at JacksonandSons.com. Showtime. The barbecue sandwich.
That was a
Our
local station. Well, the radio is definitely picking up signals. Let's go over to the shortwave band.
Then you will not know in what hour the Lord does come. When I'm watching first.
One station on shortwave.
And fear is very near.
Something here trying to come in, but it's not that strong.
And I will keep my eyes and my heart tuned as long as God gives me strength.
Pretty tuning capacity.
Every day from
I'm gonna just do a quick and dirty tuning.
Open right back up again from 6 to 11 p.m. Get that authentic taste of Jamaica right from the truck in the parking lot of True Sports Bar and Lounge, located at 400 Fontana Boulevard, right down the street from the Cherry Point main gate. Yardy's Food Truck. For menu info or to order, call 252-342-5891.
Ever been told to just breathe? Since in times of trouble, but for those with lung cancer, just breathing is hard to do. November is Cancer Awareness. Join us and just fight. Eastern Radiologist is observing Cancer Awareness Month during the month of November. Join us in raising awareness about risk reduction and treatment options. For information on how to get involved, go to Eastern
Now I'm picking up another station. Can barely hear it. There's another station there. Another station there. Well, guys, it's good to know that my homemade Recone speaker is working without any problems, and it sounds pretty good. Once we get everything else working, we'll be able to test it out even better. But I was not expecting this radio from 1937 to work at all, and the only thing we done was replaced electrolytics and gave it just a little, coarse tune, and the radio is working. Signals are way down. I think the volume is there now since we retuned these IF. Now this radio operates on 456 kc instead of the standard 455 like you see some of your other radios. But looks like this is going to be a good candidate to restore. But what I was wanting for the troubleshooting is not here. We have to do very little troubleshooting on it. Mostly, I believe, when we get the radio cleaned up, all the controls cleaned, and get all those wax caps replaced, it's like the only thing this radio is going to need, just a good alignment. We haven't even tested any of the tubes yet, and you can see some of the grid caps on top of the tubes. They are a bit rusty. As you can see, there's rust all around them, so all that's got to be cleaned. But hey, it works. I think the biggest part of this restoration is going to be getting the cabinet cleaned up. And you know, I thought about just sanding it down and redoing the veneer on it, but we might just take it and try to give it a good cleaning on the cabinet and go back with some dye or some furniture polish and leave kind of the little scuffs and stuff that's on there, because you know, this radio's from 1937. I don't want it to be a new radio. I want it to still have that old look. Well, there you go, guys. Old Zenith 6D 219 from the 30s is up and running. Now we'll do some more videos on it, and we'll do some more troubleshooting, tearing down, cleaning it. This is I'm not sure if this is copper coated. It's hard to tell, but it looks like it's copper coated chassis. I don't think it's solid copper. The same thing with these shields on here, and this capacitor can are just copper plated is what I'm looking for. We got this capacitor here for the shortwave band is kind of rusty, and that's going to have to be probably removed and cleaned off. But hey, you know, you never know when you start working on one of these things what you'll find. So I guess in the next video we'll get to it. Just let me know down below how much of it you want to see or want me to do and show on video, you know. And also don't forget about the RCA Victor. Like I say, I got some shots of the process of finding the problems. I wish that I would have used the main camera, because that would have been a good teaching video. But you know, things happen, and we have to deal with them. Anyway, guys, you know, let me know in the comments what you like to see on it. And you know, I read all the comments. I don't get time to respond to everyone, but I try to go back and at least read them and give you a thumbs up on it and answer any questions that I can. And if you haven't done so at this time, please subscribe. That really helps. And if you would, click that like button, because that helps also. You know, the last video I did on the IT-12 was just blew my mind of how much response I got on it. Even though I didn't have the giveaway in the title, still got a lot of response, and that showed a lot of people watched the video, and I appreciate it. So guys, we'll catch you in the next video, and we'll do a part 2 of the restoration on this. See you now.